I met Julia one humid September evening, golden light cutting across the room like a dream. That moment defined everything afterward. Red wine shimmered in her glass. She wore that silky black number like it was part of her skin. Her laughter curled around me, sweet and intoxicating. I should have known danger wore perfume. Back then, I was foolish, heart wide open. Charmed instantly, I let her invade my world, my space, habits, rhythm. She flowed into every crack I had. Within months, rings exchanged, promises whispered. Beneath cathedral ceilings, we became husband and wife. Our home bloomed with new paint, modern decor, shared rituals. Her presence turned ordinary corners into something cinematic. Weekends meant brunches, bookstore strolls, late-night vinyl, and slow dancing. I believed in what we had. God, I truly did. Yet time, I learned, has a cruel way of peeling illusions. It started subtly. Subtle enough to ignore. A colder hug, missed calls, glances that no longer lingered. Her eyes drifted during conversations, voice fading when speaking my name. The woman who once clung to my every word now barely heard me. She said she'd joined a charity group, homeless shelters, meal services, that kind of thing. At first I admired it. Selflessness suited her. Gave her face a kind of light I hadn't seen since our honeymoon. But schedules stretched, excuses multiplied. You know, how the holidays are, she'd say. Or, we had to run an emergency drive. Odd part? Her stories never matched what little I found online. Not a photo, not a mention. One night she returned home past midnight, sweater inside out, hair tousled. Said her car battery died. She had that look, guilt wrapped in sugar. Why didn't you call? I asked carefully. No reception, she replied. Smile strained, eyes darting. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning she brewed 2 cups, handed mine with a kiss that felt obligatory. I watched her movements, mechanical, rehearsed. Jason, my closest confidant, noticed too. Over cigars and bourbon one Friday, he leaned in, voice low. You think she's seeing someone? The words hit like acid. I'm probably paranoid, I muttered, brushing it off, but doubt had already set up camp in my brain. From there, I watched more, observed patterns, each interaction dissected. Julia had become an enigma. She changed perfumes twice in a month, switched gym locations, started locking her phone. Her body language shifted too, legs angled away from me, phone always between us like a shield. She stopped saying, I love you first. I still wanted to believe. Desperation clings, you know, especially when you've built your identity around someone else's affection. Then it happened. That Saturday morning, she stood in the doorway, eyes glassy, holding something behind her back. I have news, she whispered, voice trembling. She revealed the test. Pink, lines unmistakable. I'm pregnant. Tears streamed. Hers, not mine. I froze. Joy should have followed. Instead, suspicion sank its teeth into me. We'd been trying for nearly a year. Doctors suggested IVF. Suddenly, miracle? I hugged her, said all the right things, played the part, but inside, alarm screamed. She babbled about baby names, nursery colors, prenatal yoga. I nodded, smiled, planned. Not a future, but an investigation. That same week, while she showered, I took her toothbrush, slid it into a baggie, drove across. Town to a private lab, paid double for discretion. Next, I feigned normal. Kissed her goodbye each morning, complimented her glow, acted like a man blessed with impending fatherhood. Julia bloomed like spring, radiant, smug. Thought she'd won. I waited. 2 weeks crawled by. Then the envelope arrived. Plain, thick, sealed, tight. My fingers trembled as I tore through the paper. The results screamed the truth. Fetus and I? No match. That moment? Death by 1,000 quiet cuts. But I didn't confront her. No shouting, no slamming doors. Instead, I watched, coldly. I started keeping logs. Times, texts, receipts, facial expressions. I became my own private detective. Her lies, cataloged her patterns, predictable. She began talking in her sleep, whispering a name. Not mine. Nolan. I heard it 3 times before confirming the connection. He was a trainer at her new gym, widowed, fit, charming, convenient. I followed her one afternoon, skipped work, trailed her at a distance. They met at a cafe not far from our home. She leaned in, touched his wrist, laughed that laugh I once thought belonged to me. He kissed her hand. Something inside me snapped. Still, I didn't break character. Revenge required patience. Instead of exposing her, I did the unthinkable. Embraced the lie every ultrasound? I attended. Each appointment? Scheduled personally. I asked for copies, took photos, built a digital archive. At home, I recorded voice memos. Her confessions, her fake stories, her bedtime conversations. She trusted me completely. Believed she had fooled the man who once vowed eternal loyalty. I began making financial moves, closed joint accounts, created backups. Met discreetly with a lawyer. The strategy was simple. Let her dig deeper, then pull the rug. Friends noticed how happy I seemed. They had no clue the performance I'd perfected, all while rage simmered under every fake smile. She wore her betrayal like perfume. Bold, obvious, shameless, yet she still tried seducing me some nights, as if she could erase treason with kisses. I played along, detached, documenting every touch. The baby bump grew, so did her arrogance. One night, she brought home wine. Just a sip, she said with a smirk. That's when I knew she didn't even care about the child. Not really. It was leverage. A way to trap me, to bind me into fatherhood, finance, forever. She thought she was playing chess. But I was writing the rule book, in silence, in secret, in pain. Soon she'd see. This was the calm before everything crumbled. I woke every day beside a stranger. Julia's skin still smelled like expensive lavender, her breath soft against my shoulder, yet everything about her screamed foreign. Lying next to me was a woman who carried another man's seed, smiled at me through teeth sharpened by deceit. I kissed her anyway, played doting husband like a seasoned actor. She never noticed the cracks in my smile. I lived for the quiet hours between midnight and dawn, when I sat alone in the garage, lights dimmed, laptop glowing, plans unfurling. Revenge wasn't impulse for me, it was architecture. A slow, precise demolition, the kind that leaves no rubble, just an empty foundation where something once stood tall. I began phase 1, isolation. Julia loved attention. She thrived on admiration, Instagram stories, friends' validation, public displays. I started withdrawing her from every circle subtly, told friends we needed privacy for the pregnancy, canceled brunches, rescheduled gatherings, blocked family. Visits under the guise of fatigue. I spun a web she never noticed tightening around her. Next, phase 2, exposure. I compiled my evidence into a tidy digital folder titled Baby Truth. Ultrasound dates, DNA report, audio snippets. Even photos from that day at the cafe with Nolan zoomed in to catch their locked fingers under the table. Then I made 3 flash drives, one for me, one for our attorney, one for her parents. But timing had to be flawless. We threw a party midway through her second trimester, just a small one. Gender reveal, she'd said, eyes gleaming, stomach wrapped in a pale blue dress. She'd already bought blue balloons, convinced we were having a boy. I knew we weren't. I'd seen the paperwork. She lied even about that. Told me she wanted it to be a surprise, then ordered decorations 2 days before the doctor's confirmation email landed in our inbox. It said, girl. She was planning a lie even about the baby's gender. I stood beside her that evening, guests sipping wine, everyone laughing, candles flickering. Jason brought cigars for the guys. Julia clutched my hand like we were still a team. My stomach turned when I looked at her. The moment we popped the balloon and blue confetti showered the room, she screamed in joy. I just smiled. That fake smile. Again, the one I'd perfected. Phase 3, financial shutdown. I'd already opened a private account, funneled funds slowly, never more than she'd notice. I sold investments, liquidated stocks she didn't know I owned, canceled her credit card one evening, then told her it was a fraud alert. "Oh," she said, mildly annoyed. "I'll use mine." She didn't know I'd already flagged hers. Within 3 days, she couldn't even buy groceries. I watched her crumble just a little. Frustration etched her features, but she blamed the banks. I offered sympathy, suggested she relax. Phase 4. Nolan. He was the wild card. I needed him to think I was oblivious. I requested a meeting with him, told Julia I wanted to join her for a gym tour. She hesitated, but I insisted. We met in the sleek lounge near the treadmill area. He smiled, too friendly. Shook my hand. His eyes darted, unsure. Julia introduced us like nothing was wrong. I could smell her fear under her perfume. "You're doing great work here," I told him. "My wife speaks very highly of you." He nodded, eyes flicking to her. "Thanks. She's committed." I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. "I'm considering hiring a trainer myself," I said. "Maybe you could show me the ropes sometime." That shook him. His smile faltered, just for a second. A bead of sweat formed on his temple. "Oh, sure. Anytime." I thanked him, then left my business card. "We'll be in touch." Julia remained quiet during the drive home. I pretended not to notice. At this point, every piece was aligned. My wife was isolated, broke, and anxious. The man she cheated with was now squirming. The lie about the baby's paternity sat like a ticking bomb in my drawer. Then I initiated the finale. I hosted a dinner. Small, just family and close friends. Her parents, my sister Jason, 2 couples from the neighborhood, candlelight, catered meal, music playing soft jazz in the background. Julia wore white, God, the irony, and kept touching her stomach proudly. Everyone complimented her. She beamed. The perfect little homemaker, if they only knew. After dessert, I stood and cleared my throat. "I'd like to make a toast," I began, raising my glass. She smiled. Everyone turned. I could feel the heat rise in the room. "I want to thank everyone for supporting us these past few months. It's meant everything." "And Julia," I turned to her. "You've been glowing." She blushed. "Which is why I think now's a good time to share something I've been working on. A little project of my own." I pulled out the flash drive. Walked over to the TV, slid it into the USB port. The screen came to life. First, the DNA test. Clear, clinical, undeniable. Then photos, time-stamped. Julia and Nolan at the cafe. Julia entering his condo 2 nights a week. Then the audio, her sleep-talking, moaning his name. Followed by a montage of text screenshots. Her messages to him. Their plans. Her instructions to play cool around my husband. Gasps erupted. Julia stood, eyes wide, trembling. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. I didn't answer. Her father looked like he'd been shot. My sister covered her mouth. Jason stood frozen. Julia rushed forward, tried to yank the USB out, but I grabbed her wrist gently, publicly, coldly. "This is the baby you said was mine," I said softly. "You knew it wasn't. You lied. You manipulated. You cheated." Tears welled. "Let me explain." There's nothing left to say. I turned to her father. "You might want to reconsider those nursery renovations." He said nothing. Just walked out. She followed him, sobbing, stumbling over her heels. I stayed, poured myself another drink. The guests left one by one, silent, shaken. My phone buzzed 5 times. Julia. I ignored them all. That night, I finally slept. For the first time in months, I didn't dream of lies. I ignored the calls. 5 missed, then 9, 12. Voicemails stacked like desperate letters, each one more panicked than the last. First message, please talk to me. Second, you misunderstood, just listen. Third, I messed up, but you can't do this to me. 10th, my parents won't speak to me, I'm all alone. Good, that was the point. She tried texting Jason, he blocked her. She reached out to my sister. Silence. Even her best friend Caroline, who once defended her blindly, replied with a single sentence. How could you? By morning, Julia was no longer the glowing mother-to-be. She was a pariah. She showed up at my office 2 days later. Security called before she reached reception. I instructed them to escort her out calmly. No scene. No contact. I watched her from the window as she cried near the front entrance. She looked smaller somehow. I had prepared for this. Her eviction notice was already filed. Legally, the home was mine. I'd purchased it before marriage, kept all records, separate. She never bothered asking about the fine print. She returned to find the locks changed. A cardboard box waited for her on the porch. Clothes, jewelry, that stuffed fox I won her at the beach carnival. I didn't keep anything of hers inside. Didn't want memories contaminating the air. Later that evening, I received another message. This one wasn't from Julia, it was Nolan. He wrote, didn't know she was married. She said you were separated. I swear I didn't mean for any of this. What happens now? I stared at his words for a long time before replying. You get the life you built. Congratulations. Then I blocked his number. The days that followed were quiet, deceptively peaceful. I still woke early, still brewed coffee, still drove the same roads, but everything had shifted. I was no longer pretending. The mask was gone. Julia, however, began to unravel publicly. She posted vague apologies on social media, followed by spiritual quotes about forgiveness. The likes were few, comments even fewer. One called her a snake with a bump. Another just wrote, you deserve worse. She tried to spin it, claimed I was emotionally distant, that our intimacy had died, that she sought connection. But the receipts were public, the recordings circulated. She underestimated how quickly truth spreads when wrapped in scandal. By the 3rd week, she deactivated every account. I heard from mutual friends that she moved into a motel 2 towns over. Nolan refused to take her in. Turns out his loyalty vanished once his reputation took a hit. He lost clients. His gym manager suspended him indefinitely after word got around. She was alone, pregnant, ashamed, exactly where her lies had led her. Should have felt satisfied. I didn't. Not yet. One afternoon I took a drive. No destination, just road, radio, and time to think. The pain hadn't left. It just changed shape. No longer sharp, more like a dull pressure behind the ribs, constant but manageable. Memories kept creeping in. Our wedding day, her trembling hands, that trip to Prague, how she clung to my arm, her laugh echoing in the kitchen as we tried to bake. How much of it was real? Did she ever love me, or was I just convenient? I pulled over near a lake we once visited together. The wind was colder than I remembered. Trees swayed, water glistened, life continued. I stayed for an hour, just breathing, just thinking. Then I made a choice. One final act. Closure. I wrote her a letter, not to reconcile, not to forgive, but to end it. My way, my terms. Julia, you destroyed something sacred, not just our marriage, not just trust, but a future. I loved you in ways words fail to describe, completely, foolishly, blindly. And you took that love, chewed it up, spit it out, and tried to hand me someone else's child wrapped in ribbons and deception. You planned to make me a father to a lie. Do you realize the weight of that? Do you grasp how deep that betrayal runs? And still, I don't hate you. I pity you. You had something rare, something whole, and you traded it for momentary lust. Now you're left with fragments, memories that mock you, friends who vanished, a man who used you, a baby who'll grow up never knowing what stability feels like because her mother couldn't stay loyal for 9 months. I won't be part of that. I won't be dragged back into your chaos. You chose your path. Now walk it, alone. I never sent it. I burned it. Because it wasn't for her. It was for me. A symbolic purge. That night, I threw away the last photo of us. The one on the fridge, arms wrapped around each other under a waterfall in Maui. Back when I thought love was enough. The next morning, I woke up lighter. I made one coffee. Just one. And I drank it in silence. No voices. No lies. Just me. And peace. 6 months passed. Seasons changed. Snow came early, layering the neighborhood in silence. I watched it fall from my office window. Quiet flakes. Soft. Indifferent to heartbreak. By then, Julia was a memory. Faded, worn, like a photograph left in sunlight too long. Word reached me through a former neighbor. She gave birth in a hospital 2 towns away. No visitors, no celebration. Just her, a screaming newborn, and the weight of choices made in darkness. She named the baby Hope. Irony. Bleeding from every letter. I didn't respond when she emailed the birth announcement. Didn't open the attachment, just deleted it and emptied the trash. Closure wasn't found in revenge. It came in refusal. The refusal to keep letting her in. She tried, of course. First an email, then a handwritten letter. I miss who we were. We can raise her together. She deserves a father. Each plea went unanswered, because what she really wanted wasn't fatherhood for the child. She wanted relief from guilt. A redemption story. Something neat, digestible. But some sins rot where they're planted, and I had planted mine in the truth. I sold the house, packed only essentials, a few boxes, my books, one old leather jacket I'd nearly thrown out a dozen times. The rest, I left behind. Started fresh in a city where my name didn't echo down grocery store aisles. It was strange at first, waking up alone, hearing nothing but refrigerator hum and morning wind. The quiet felt heavier, but it was honest. No masks, no gaslighting, no pretending, just breath, just being. I took up photography again, something I hadn't touched since college. There was something pure about capturing reality. Lens, light, click, nothing hidden, no lies in pixels. I'd walk riverside trails at sunrise, camera in hand, chasing fog and geese in shadows. Sometimes I caught strangers mid-laugh, kids chasing kites, couples lost in conversation. Raw, unrehearsed life. Healing didn't come all at once. Some days the memories still clawed their way out. Nights tangled in her arms, whispered promises. The way she used to trace circles on my back as I drifted to sleep. Grief is like that. It doesn't ask permission, but I didn't drown in it anymore. I learned to let pain pass without inviting it in for coffee. Jason visited one weekend. We grilled steaks, drank scotch, talked without filters. You ever think about what she's doing now? He asked, cutting into his sirloin. No, I said. She doesn't live in my head anymore. He nodded. Good, then added. You deserve something real. It stuck with me. Something real. Weeks later, I found it unexpectedly. Bookstore, rain tapping windows. The smell of paper and rain and possibility. She was standing in the poetry section, flipping through Neruda. Brown eyes, denim jacket, red Converse. She laughed at something on the page. I wasn't trying to flirt, just asked if the book was worth reading. Her name was Lena. She worked with kids, taught art, loved thunderstorms, and hated mint chocolate. We talked for an hour between shelves, then got coffee. Not much came of it that night. Just a good conversation. But it was enough. Over the next few weeks, we kept meeting. Walks, dinners, music. No pretending, no rush. Just two people, hurt, in different ways, finding reasons to trust again. I never told her about Julia. Not at first. She never asked. Then one night, sitting under a sky full of stars, I told her everything. Every dark piece. Every betrayal. Every revenge. She didn't flinch. She just looked at me and said, "That must have hurt like hell." I nodded. She squeezed my hand, and for the first time I didn't feel judged, just seen. We didn't fall in love quickly. We built it, brick by brick, laugh by laugh, truth by truth. She saw the brokenness, and instead of fixing it, she just stood beside it. That was enough. Julia reached out one last time, 8 months after hope was born. A simple message. "I'm sorry. For all of it. I hope you're happy." I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I finally didn't need. She no longer held any part of me. That version of my life, our life, was ash now. Scattered by time and truth. I stood over it, not bitter, not angry, just grateful. Grateful it burned. Grateful I walked away. Because some fires don't destroy, they cleanse, and from mine, I emerged whole. Not unscarred, but unbroken, alive. Ready? Epilogue. Tell this story not for pity, not for applause, but for someone else sitting in silence wondering if the pain will ever pass. It does. Slowly. Then all at once, you'll breathe again. Smile without guilt. Sleep without ghosts. You'll remember who you were before the storm, and you'll become someone better after it. I did. Not because I'm special, but because I chose truth over illusion, pain over pretense, freedom over fraud. So, if you're standing in the wreckage, bleeding, confused, betrayed, know this: you're not alone and you're not finished, not even close.